Good morning, YouTube friends, and welcome to my new YouTube channel called Create, Quilt and Make with Kate. This is the first of the videos on this channel, and I thought today I might just do a little bit of introduction on some of the English paper piecing that I've been doing using hexagons. And I'm just going to show you the process to make the front of this little zippered pouch. I won't go through the making of the pouch today, but the pouch was made with an old pair of denim jeans and a zip, and it's just been lined with calico, and then the corners have been sewn off. So making the pouch might be something for another day. But in terms of the process for making English paper piecing, the first thing I start with is a template, and I bought these at the local Spotlight store. So I'm based in Australia, in Sydney. And at Spotlight you can buy a little kit that has these, the little bag I've made myself, and that uses some leftover plastic packaging from a sheet set and some fabric scraps from other projects. But today I'm just going to use this little hexagon, and it's the 1/2 inch size with 1/4 inch seam allowance. And the first thing you do is trace off the hexagon onto a bit of cardboard, and this is an old cereal packet. And because I'm cutting out the hexagons themselves, the little cardboard templates, I'm going to trace around the inside of this shape. So I'm just holding it down and tracing around the inside. Obviously you want to match them up fairly close to the edge so you get as many as you can for the area. And we just trace around them, making sure that you're getting into all the corners. Now with English paper piecing, it's quite important to have accurate cutting, so that your shapes are all the same size, which means that they fit together well. I use a pair of just normal household scissors, and I keep a separate pair of scissors for cutting paper and other things, and that's separate to the pair of scissors that I use to cut fabric with. So there's an example of a hexagon that's just been cut out, and you can actually reuse those. The next thing that I do is I put my template onto some fabric, and this time I'm going to trace the outside because I want the seam allowances to be included as well. So I'm just going to draw around the outside, and you can see then that the hexagon shape has been drawn on the fabric, and I'm using my fabric scissors just to cut around that shape. When you cut out the cardboard, it needs to be really accurate because that's where your shape is formed. When you're cutting out the material, it needs to be big enough, but accuracy is not quite as important. So I'll get rid of those little scraps. Now you can see I have quite a few little shapes here that I've cut out, and I often use up fabric scraps from other projects. When I'm ready to stitch, I use one of these little clips. I find my cardboard shape that I've made and the fabric piece, and I just match it up. And you don't have to use these clips, but they save your fingers. If you are constantly pinching the fabric to hold it in place when you are sewing, you will find that you get sore fingers after a while, and so I always use the clip. Pulling off a bit of thread, going to thread up the needle. Hope it's a quick thread today. The trouble with getting old, your eyes don't work as well. My mum used to do a lot of sewing when I was a child, and she used to always complain about not being able to see. I understand now that I'm getting older. Alright, so I'm going to do a quilter's knot. You just put your finger on the end, wrap it a couple of times, pinch it, pull it through, and then on my shape I'm just folding the first side over, turning the second side over, and doing a little stitch. I do 2 in each corner. Some people like to glue baste, but I haven't tried it and I'm not keen on the idea. I like to thread baste, and I found this to be effective, quick and easy. Excuse me, and it's something that I can do on the run. So you can see here this little box on the side. I actually keep some of the cardboard shapes and the materials cut ready to go, and I often take it with me when I travel. Even just in the car on the way to work, I catch a car ferry and I have about 10 minutes in the morning where I can sit and stitch as I travel to work. Obviously not while I'm driving. So the second one, pull the tail through. Good, almost there. If you keep the clip moving around the shape as you go, it holds the cardboard in the right spot, and the shape and the paper, material formed over it is likely to be a better fit. The last one, you just tuck it in and sew it off. On the last one, I like to pull the thread through the loop and just tie it off. Take off the clip, cut off the thread, and then it's my habit to always tie my next quilt is not ready to go, and it just saves time. I've made a little travel needle book, just a little one, has a couple of needles, a couple of pins, and I just use that when I'm traveling, and that fits nicely into my little box. Some travel scissors and so on. So now I've made this shape, I have some others in here that I've made, various colours from the offcuts, and I'm starting a bit of a collection. So you can see in here I've started to file them by colour. So light blue goes in there, green in the green section, blue in the blue section. You can tell blue's my favourite colour. And this one I think I'll put in there too. Yeah, so once you've done a few of them, then you can choose shapes as you go, and I'll show you another time how to do this, but you put them face to face. Again, I would use one of the little clips to hold it, and then you just use a whip stitch across the edge, and when they are all stitched together you can stitch them in any configuration. I've seen people make entire quilts out of them, but this one was just a selection of them all sewn together, and then I just applicated on top of this little pouch that I made. So sometimes people will make them into flower shapes, and obviously you can colour coordinate them, but I sort of like the randomness of this one. Anyway, that's a bit of an introduction to English paper piecing. I'd love to hear your comments, any questions, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.